College is a scam. That's it. See you next week. Welcome back to another episode of the Culture Connectors podcast. We're your hosts, Kayende.
Pablo.
And we believe that college is a scam.
And I have a degree.
Yeah.
So,
But always remember to leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to this podcast. And let's jump right into it.
Distancing myself from anything that seems cynic. I evicted all my demons, I ain't seen them in a minute. Phone on D in the event they try and kick it. I ain't messing with a pessimist, I get that noise and flip it. Keeping up composure cause it's crucial. Tossing everything away unless that thing is useful. Pocket watching people, all these people getting used to it. Bumping blues and burning all my blues over my Bluetooth.
So, hey everyone, before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to take a quick moment to talk about something important, our eyes, and specifically the hidden danger they face every day in the form of blue light. From our phones and laptops to tablets and TVs, we're constantly bombarded with blue light emissions. Now, while some blue light is natural and essential, the extensive amounts we're exposed to can wreak havoc on our sleep, focus, and even long-term health. Think interrupted sleep, digital eye strain, and headaches. Not exactly the recipe for productive and healthy life. But there's good news. Today's sponsor, Spectra 479 blue light glasses, offer a simple and stylish solution to protect your eyes from the harmful effect of blue light. Their glasses use innovative lens technology to filter out harmful blue light rays while still allowing beneficial light to pass through. Plus, they come in a variety of sleek and stylish designs, so you can look good while you protect your eyes. And guess what? Just for our awesome listeners, Spectra is offering a special discount code. Use the code CCPOD at checkout to get 15% off your entire purchase. Let's get back into the podcast.
all right. We'll let you have this cliffhanger for a little bit, but let's start off with running from responsibility. This was one of your questions. This is like 3 weeks old. So I don't even know if you remember the context in which you were asking about it, but let's get into running from responsibility, the pros, the cons, what have you.
I think the context was I was encroaching upon burnout.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's hard to speak for everyone, but for me, when I'm encroaching burnout, I just stop doing everything until I get to a point where I'm like, all right, let me bite the bullet and do one thing at least, and chip away at the marble statue. But I think there are people out there who genuinely run from responsibility even before they reach a point of burnout. And I guess my question to you and a thinking point for the audience is, what makes you want to run from responsibility? Do you run from responsibility? And what are the things that either keep you responsible or allow you to jump back into your responsibilities? A lot of questions right there, but I'll let you dissect whichever ones you want to.
So I think running, like this desire to run from responsibility would be entirely from probably just putting too much on your plate in the first place, trying to do too many things at once. I tend to do that a lot where I'm like, let me work on all 5 things at the same time, and then when I'm done, I can rest. But then you're not going to enjoy it because you're going to look for that next goal in the first place. And also you're not going to do a good job. That was the why. What was the other ones?
What allows you to be responsible?
Just general discipline, I think. Just, showing up every day. Showing up is half the battle, as they say. And I've realized that, like, people, you don't have to do much, but people will remember that you were there, whatever the endeavor is. So I think, just showing up and, even if it's a half-ass effort, 0.1, to the 365th power is better than 0 to the 365th power. So just showing up for one.
The next one was when you feel like being irresponsible, what keeps you responsible aside from discipline? Like, is there a ritual you partake in? Is there something you do?
What keeps me responsible? Probably just because I'm such a future thinker and a forward thinker. And I always think like inordinate amounts of time ahead. And even it's like a butterfly effect, the way I imagine things, where if I'm off course for too long, I just imagine like it not going well, or like my future turning into like some bleak dystopian sort of situation, even though like I'm obviously exaggerating, but that's usually what I do, is just think about, I'm not going to end up where I want to be if I keep on this path for too long. So let me get back into it. But in general, I mean, wanting to run from responsibility, I think there's two stages in everyone's life, where you have that. I think right out of high school, so 18. I know people who went to school. I know people who took a year break before college, and then I know people who were just smoking weed every day and drinking and whatever else. And then same thing as you're approaching around the late 20s, 30s, you kind of see that divergence again of people who are really on their shit and trying to save up for a house and a family. Other people who are still just partying, but partying with like no like just for like self enjoyment. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And then there's people who are just they're working towards something, but somewhere in the middle, they're still partying, but they're also having their grind time as well. So yeah, that's my spiel.
I think for me, um, and yeah, you hit the nail on the head. When there's too much on one's plate, that's when um, the irresponsibility and running from tasks and duties come into play. Um, but I think what I do to jump back into the horse or into the horse, whoa, onto the horse, is yeah, just look at the hardest thing to do and then chip away at that thing. And then I got that from Naval's book. I shout out Naval. If you're listening to this, you're the guy. But yeah, the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. When faced with two or more tasks, look at the hardest task and then do that one first. I think I mentioned that in
Yeah, I
a
think
lot of
literally
other
like yeah,
podcasts. A lot of other podcasts. But yeah, that adage is such a great one because yeah, it really works because you're gonna do the easiest thing first, and then all the easy things subsequently, and then you're gonna get to the hardest thing, and then it takes you the longest to do, as opposed to doing the hardest one first, do that one, and then when the time comes to actually do the easy stuff, you'll feel so accomplished. The dopamine is rushing through your brain, and then you're like, yeah, that hard thing was so difficult to accomplish. Now I'm getting to the easy tasks, and I'm just a beast. So, yeah, just how do you eat a cake? Piece by piece. So, or eat an elephant. That's the phrase. How do you eat an elephant? Piece by piece. So,
yeah. So I think perfect to play off of that question is not being where you want to be in life. The rat race and accepting one's place. Is it necessary to do such?
um, not being where one wants to be in life. I think I wrote that down because I think you said that one podcast prior or two podcasts prior where it's frustrating not being exactly where uh well, I'll say we because I'm not in that space either, but not being in the specific place we want to be in life. Um what was it? Accepting the rat race, or is accepting the rat race necessary? I think it all depends. Um it depends on where you want to be in life, right? I think there are people out there in nations or third world nations, or even is there a second world? Oh, it's first world.
Developing would be second world.
Developing. There are probably people in developing and third world countries that live much happier. I think Brazil is like the highest, is the one of the happiest countries on the planet.
They just said DR is number one. I'm not really sure about that. I think it's the people
The
visiting
people who
DR.
visit, yeah,
But yeah,
I mean, even so, a lot of those developing and third world countries follow the philosophy of keep the bellies full and the mind empty. So not saying that those places are necessarily stupid or have stupid people. It's just the way the country is run by the politicians and the powers that be keep the people unaware of what's actually going on behind the scenes. But because like there are probably so many people and like that stuff doesn't really affect their daily walk of life,
Mhm.
they're just living in beautiful weather with beautiful people, healthy food, good beaches, beautiful women, and just living their life. But I think when it comes to first world now, where it's like we got to get to the bag, we got to make money, we got to be on our own, we got to go to school, go to college, get a degree, White House, picket fence, dog, two cars in the driveway, two kids. I think that model aspiration has put a very taxing stress on the general populace. So, is it necessary to do that? Like I said before, it's only if that's what you really want. But if a simpler life is what one aspires to achieve, then I think accepting that is not necessarily the case. I think, but what do we want? That's probably what is more important now. Talking about this from a personal standpoint, like what do we want? Like what is it that we want in this first world that makes us not where we want to be?
Like for me, is the comparing to other countries, our vacation time is so limited compared to everywhere else. Like in the US, if you have 25 total days, I think, of PTO, like you're in like a good job in terms of PTO. But in Europe, for example, the minimum anywhere you work is a month off, or like 2 months off, or like 6 weeks or something, somewhere in between 1 month and 2 months. And I've referenced this before in other podcasts of the guy who gave his employees unlimited PTO, and they ended up just taking around the same amount of time off anyway, but they didn't feel forced. And I think it goes to show that like the whole when people describe the rat race in those movies that are like the main character is kind of a cynic or something like that, that terrifies me when they talk about the 2 weeks off. Like 10 business days off the entire year. Obviously sans weekends, but that's not a life to me. And as someone who was blessed enough to be working remote for the last 4 years, where I can travel, because I don't mind working as long as I could just go somewhere else. Because I generally don't do jobs I don't like. And so I enjoy my work. It's not the working thing, but just to get away from it. And I only have 10 business days a year, 1/36th of the year. Like that's not cutting it for me. So for me, that's my why. Don't get me wrong. I like work. I like providing value to people. I like talking to people, meeting people, that sort of thing. So work is not it. But when I want to take off, I want to take off. So that's why I want to have financial freedom and, do as I please. And then, also pay it forward and put other people on.
I think for me, well, I'm not gonna say I think. I know for me, I'll blame Robert Kiyosaki for my why. Rich Dad Poor Dad, the whole trading time for money thing. Um, yeah, I mean, ever since I read that book, I think that's kind of why I was kind of. I think I read that book when I was 16, and after I read that book, I was kind of against the whole system. I was against the system before, but as I read more and more of things in line with that philosophy, I started to deviate. But for elaboration purposes, when one goes into a workplace to work, that time you're spent at a workplace, if it's even if it's the most menial job or the most vegetative job in the world, you're still at that place. So let's say for me, right, I want to be not I want to be, but I'm an aspiring full-time successful musician with nothing on my plate but making music and doing whatever I want to do. If I have to go to a job or a workplace, then I am spending 6 to 8 hours at that workplace. Most likely 8 hours, depending on what I work or where I'm working. Um, 8 hours at that workplace, not making music, not doing this podcast, not editing clips, not editing the podcast itself, not hanging out with friends, not writing a song. You know what I'm saying? Like all those things take away from what I actually want to do. And I think it was Warren Buffett who said, write down the top 5 things you want to do for the rest of your life. Look at the top 3 and then only do those 3 things. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I all the other fluff and nonsense and stuff I do outside of my aspiration are the things that kind of irk me. So I guess that's kind of why I'm not where I'm at. It's completely not it's not even a fiscal thing. It's more of just like when I want to sleep, I want to sleep. I don't want to have to get up and go somewhere, you know? And I don't have to worry about not having money in my bank account because I want to sleep. You know, I guess it's a very selfish dream, but um I mean, I still would put people in position. I'm an engineer by self-proclaimed trade, you know. So I'm gonna have to mix for other people. I'm gonna have to write for other people and help people distribute their music and give information where necessary. So yeah, I guess that's my 2 cents on that part.
Okay. Solid. Um, so where were you when the earthquake happened?
I was in my uncle's basement listening to a mix I just finished.
If you didn't finish that sentence, that would have sounded crazy.
Nah. I didn't even feel the earthquake either because I don't know. Maybe it was the noise canceling headphones. Maybe
I mean, yeah, like have to like, because I was working from home that day, and like my coworkers didn't feel it, but then like two of them didn't, and then one of my other coworkers did, and I did. And it was funny. Like I went on Twitter immediately. I texted my mom. She was like, "Yeah, no, there was an earthquake," and I was like, I thought I was just bugging, but
No, yeah, there was actually an earthquake. It was so weird. I think I may have felt it, but I'm not gonna lie and say, yeah, bro, I felt it. I was just
they had merch out like 2 hours later. Like I survived the New York earthquake.
they waste zero
Zero
time.
time,
They
yeah.
waste zero time.
And earlier this week, the Statue of Liberty got struck by lightning on the
torch?
On the torch, yeah,
That's fire.
yeah. And then we got an eclipse coming, so
Yeah, the controller, the controller of the simulation is stirring things up.
yeah, no, he's going crazy right now. He's going crazy in this too. But you know, I mean, we had one way back in like 2014 or something. I remember, I was at home playing like MW2 or something, and I remember my bed was like shaking like ever so slightly. But that one was like that was wild. But you know, no injuries or anything like that. So
Yeah, and I think I also didn't feel it because the magnitude was 4.8, which is still fake crazy, but I think the max is 10, right?
yeah, on the Richter scale.
Richter scale, yeah. So I mean, it wasn't like a crazy earthquake, and I was underground, so maybe that would have affected it. But I know people in the subway felt it, so
hmm
that might be a fallible hypothesis.
Yeah. So outside of the podcast, what do you do in your free time?
My free time. Okay, so my favorite activity right now is sleeping. That's my favorite activity.
Preach.
When I'm not sleeping, which it's weird because I don't get a lot of sleep during nighttime, but like when I'm tired, I'm just passing out. But yeah, seriously though, I actually make a lot of music. I still make music every day. I know I said that in one of the earlier podcasts. Like I make music every day, and if I'm not doing my own music, I'm mixing for someone else or helping someone else with their pursuit. What else do I do? Outside of the podcast, you said. So I guess that would omit editing the podcast audio and clips. Music, sleep, hanging out with my girl, hanging out with friends. I think it's in that order, respectively. So sleep, music, girl, friends, and then yeah, like I find time to eat sometimes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else right now. I don't really watch TV. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What about you?
For me, so I do a lot of crypto stuff, as everyone knows. I also like trade other asset classes. So during work and after work, I'm like usually just like siphoning news, to find out alpha on what's going on in the world, geopolitical tensions, yada yada yada, to be able to trade or invest in different financial asset classes, what have you. And then outside of work, I like to stay active, so I'll work out, lift weights, or go on multiple walks just to get those 10K steps in, what have you. I usually like cook, but or like fancy stuff, but just because of work, I keep it simple: fish, eggs, blueberries, that sort of thing. Shout out Gary Vee if you know that TikTok.
Wait, fish, eggs, and blueberries in the same meal?
No, like fish, comma eggs, comma blueberries.
Gotcha.
And then I just started. I'm usually not a TV person either, but I pay for Crunchyroll, so I'm like, let me start a new anime. Solo Leveling is pretty good. JJK is on a break. One Piece, I'm already ahead in the manga. So yeah, I'm fumbling around with new anime. I just started Suits on Netflix. Very good show. I'm only like 3 episodes in, and I haven't been like that attached to my seat in like probably since like Game of Thrones or something. So doing that, and then on the weekends I usually just like go see family, and then whatever like cool fun events going on because we're in New York City, so there's always something going on. But I think I need to get back into music. When I was younger, played the clarinet and the drums, and then I fumbled around with FL Studio, but I think I want to start making beats, or like DJing or something, and then I think I need to pick up another instrument, probably like guitar, when
Yeah,
I have the time.
I'm the most musically inclined, musically inept musician because
Mhm,
I know a lot about DIY engineering
mhm,
and engineering in general and just like all that other stuff, but I play zero instruments. I could play two songs on the piano, like two chord progressions on the piano, and
mhm.
that's the extent of what I can do. But when it comes to mixing a song, I mean, you can hear some stuff I've done for my own self and be the judge of it. I'm not the best. I don't think anyone is the best engineer, but
I was gonna say, I mean, probably learning an instrument will probably help you
yeah,
in.
it definitely would like the fundamental notes and stuff in the EQ spectrum.
Yeah, so I would say the piano because once you learn the piano, you learn everything else.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Speaking of music, what music were you bumping as a child, or what
So
got you into, the taste you have currently?
yeah, so funny enough, I'm actually doing some cleaning because I'm moving, and I found two Walkmans. Those are clearly not mine; those are my mom's. So I'm gonna go return those. So they have cassette tapes, but growing up, mom used to play all the good classics, American classics, Justin Timberlake, um, who is, T.I., Timberland, Jay-Z, that sort of stuff. And then my mom's side, I'm Cuban, so a lot of Spanish classics as well growing up. Reggaeton, Daddy Yankee, Tego Calderon, that sort of thing. And then Josh Groban, Italian Josh Groban, Andrea Bocelli. So yeah, I had a pretty like varied music taste in terms of my mom, and then my dad's side is also Islander. So 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying, like all the early 2000s rappers, and then a little bit of dance hall as well, R&B, that sort of thing. And then when I started listening to music, I remember when we used to go to Isaac, I had a CD player because this was before the iPod was like super popular. So I had a CD player with like now that's what I call music like volume like 13 or something. So I would kind of listen to that, but now my music taste, well, no, back to early childhood. I would say mostly like American music, reggaeton, and like R&B. Like the most people's like top 3. Like if you're from the Bronx, like that's your top 3 growing up is like rap, R&B, and like reggaeton.
As for me, um, let's see, when did I gain consciousness? I think.
Oh, and I would say
Yeah, go
like
ahead.
70s and 80s, like Al Green and like those, the this Earth, Wind and Fire and like those like OG sort of.
Wait, when were you listening to that as a kid too, or
Yeah, because with my grandparents,
got you,
when
got
I
you?
was over there, they were bumping that the Bee Gees, that sort of stuff.
I think I gained consciousness when I was in Antigua, so that was when I was like five ish, right? So I think it's weird because Antigua, even though it's in the Caribbean, however you pronounce it, it's very Americanized, fortunately or unfortunately. But if you turn the radio on, you're gonna get all the bumps that are bumping in America at that time, for the most part. So when I was a kid and my moms and aunties, you know, run down Toyotas or whatever, we would listen to the radio, and then the things that would come on would be like T Pain, Chris Brown, um, John Legend. I may be dating myself here, but yeah, that kind of stuff, and that's what kind of got me into my current liking of music. Um, then we got a lot of reggae, Like my mom was strictly playing reggae in the house. Reggae and soca. Soca's our favorite genre, I think.
It's alright.
It's alright. It's definitely alright.
No offense to the Trinis, but it's alright.
Soca, don't get me wrong, like it's a good vibe, but speaking as a music maker, I think some of those mixes are very sparse. Like when it comes to like a sparse genre like Afrobeat, for example, like those mixes be insane.
Yeah.
Those mixes are so good, and then soca just sounds like,
Yeah, it has its time and place, but
But rest in peace. I don't know if you know who Ricardo Drew is, but rest in peace, Ricardo Drew. He was a soca king, running king for a long time, and he passed away recently. So rest in peace, Ricardo Drew. But no disrespect to the genre, of course. It's just not my favorite thing, but I still like it. Don't get
yeah.
me wrong. And then on my dad's side, when I was around my dad, he would play a lot of like John Legend and the Earth, Wind and Fires, and this soulful R&B music, soulful hip hop stuff that wasn't brain rotting or talking about F bitches get money.
Yeah.
So, and then as I got older, I started listening to the F bitches get money music. A lot of the
Bounce It Biggity.
Bounce It, yeah, that's like middle school era. Bounce It Big, high school a little bit too.
Travis Porter.
Yeah, Bounce It Biggity, Travis Porter, the Rejects,
Cat Daddy.
yeah, and then I think, and then as I got older, like later high school, like 2015, right after during I graduated, that's when the SoundCloud era was big. So I got deep into the SoundCloud rabbit hole. Unfortunately, I was in a state one time and I was like, yo, F the world, I'm deleting my SoundCloud. I lost all my likes. But shout out to the SoundCloud legends like Uzi, X, rest in peace, Ski Mask, Cardi, Uno, 1000 Band Fani. Yeah, and I still like that music to this day. So, but that's my eclectic early stuff. And then as I age, I started liking Amy Winehouse more.
Yeah, now I listen to like everything. I got Arabic music playlists,
Yeah.
Portuguese music playlists, like everything, Russian music, like.
But I would say like my first introductions to music were from like T-Pain, Chris Brown, John Legend. Yeah, people like, I liked Kanye when I was younger. Yeah, people like Bob, of course, Bob Marley. Peter Tosh. Just all the old classic stuff that people like to listen to. I've liked it since I was a kid. So
fair enough. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. Is college a scam, and why? Now you just watched the video, so I'll let you go first, and then I'll give my 2 cents.
Is college a scam? Well, my answer was given at the beginning of this podcast. I believe so. Unfortunately, Asher Roth would think otherwise. I don't know if you know that song, I Love College by Asher Roth, but
That's like 2010. Jesus.
Yo, Asher Roth was nice though.
Yeah, he had a little run.
He was nice. But is college a scam? Yeah, man. It's I agree it's a scam. I got my associates, so it has some merit, I will say, because I still use some of the stuff I got from my performing arts degree. I put in air quotes. I took all the music and music engineering classes, but it was under the performing arts umbrella. But like it helps in my creative stuff. Does it help me make more money?
No,
not at all. Not in the slightest. I haven't gotten to one job interview or like a real job interview where it's like, oh wow, you went to this community college and got an associate's degree. We need you right now. I think most of the times I've gotten opportunities from my degree has been from like a recording studio or an internship from a recording studio, or like helping me make someone's song sound good because I learned something in that school. But again, most of the stuff I learned from mixing and mastering has been self-taught. So it's like I got maybe a few nuanced techniques and things I may have learned on my own or developed on my own. Who knows? But YouTube taught me more than 80% of what I know. So, aside from that, I think when it comes to the data that was in the video, and I'll put the video thing there link in the
I'll put the link. I handle the YouTube. So.
in the YouTube. He'll put the link in the podcast. I'll put the link. But yeah, I mean, those analytics are kind of scary. Thinking about how 52% of Americans aren't using their degree, and now 36% of Americans are failing or believe that higher education system is failing them. No, 36% are still for the education system. I apologize.
So that means 60 something is not.
Yeah, 64% believe that school is a bunch of malarkey.
Yeah.
So, that's just the data, and then my little anecdotal 2 cents. But what do you think? You're the one with the bachelor's, so how's that been working for you?
I would say so. What PBD highlighted for those, like, excluding those who like major in underwater basket weaving and like degrees that like don't pay. Not that we don't need those, but that's just not what the market wants. That's just not what it pays. That is nothing for people who majored in one of those degrees that doesn't pay as much.
By the way, if you're an underwater basket weaver, please message us.
But like, so for mine, I was linguistics and computer science. So computer science is obviously the big draw, and my school was very skilled for computer science, but I didn't want to do computer science. But I mean, that's where a lot of the jobs are. But I would say, at least for what I'm going into now, most of what I learned is after college, and it's through self-teaching. But that's because I switched. So if I had gone to a program in what I am in now, I probably would, my opinion would be different. But I think college is more of a networking thing. The friends I've made and the successful friends that I've made, that is the priceless part of college. Because I know if I need somebody to code me something, an engineer for this, or someone who's adept in finance or whatever endeavor, I have someone, or I have an alumni network for that. But what I actually learned in school, not that like pertinent. It didn't really help me do anything better per se, I would say. So yeah, I would, and now education is getting a lot more secular. You know, people are specializing in certain schools. School is more online. There's more affordable options. Trade schools getting more popular again. So if you don't have to go to college and you have a way out, you could be a YouTuber now. You can be a day trader, and like you can learn all this for free on YouTube. So I think the meritocracy of the school of meritocracy is also crumbling. So is it completely a scam? No. But I think even the millennials had to deal with the in the Tim Dillon Diary of a CEO interview I was just watching, he was mentioning how the boomers are the life sucking force of America right now, but millennials were the first ones to deal with I went to the right school, I made all the right decisions, why am I not like where I was told I was going to be? And millennials are born in the 80s, so let's say late 70s, mid to late 70s. So that was almost like coming up on like 50 years ago. So even they were dealing with it. So now we're just like the Gen Z and the Gen Alphas are seeing it like in their face, where they're like, I'm just not going to make that mistake in the first place. So
yeah, and I think in that same breath too, hold on while I restart this camera. Put a beep here. Yeah, in that same breath, networking. Is college the only place where someone can really find lasting and meaningful networking opportunities, or what do you think on that? Because I know you're the one with a lot of friends. I have a song called "The Many" where I'm like, I'm not friends with the many. I have friends. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't even like, F people, but that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, I think it's just as some other thing I was reading before, how like most of your life up until college, your social life is handed to you, and then after that, you kind of have to like go and like invest in friendships and relationships. It's not just, we're going to class, well, so was each other. It's like, you want to hang out with people, you need to make events and invite people to things and have them invite you as well. So I think college is one of those where it's just
okay.
You'll
extended high school.
Yeah, you'll just meet people for the sake of you all go to college. But after that, like the people who don't go to college and end up being those, 24-year-old millionaires, they're already outliers. So the chance of you knowing them is already pretty slim. Whereas most people who are successful are more traditionally successful. So the higher chance of you meeting them will be in college.
Copy. It's like the
There's no third space country club or club you can join of like the He-Man college haters club, but we're gonna all like join a trading group or like make a hedge fund or something. So college is probably your best bet in general because there's a lot of legacy families and stuff too. Oh, we've been going to Stanford for 5 generations now. I own this oil plant, nearby, something like that. So yeah, I would say college for networking is like essential.
Essential. Copy. I think one more thing in that same breath of college too.
Mhm.
For someone like me who has parents who really want me to get my bachelor's,
My grandma wants me to get my master's.
yeah, and it's down the and I bring it up too because it's still down the road. Like I see myself in a realm where I'm teaching something that I'm not yet going to share on the podcast because that would maybe disalign the stars or misalign the stars, but it would require a PhD, and I think for
Pretty hard degree.
pretty hard degree exactly. I think for people who maybe are down on the luck or want something different for themselves, college is never too late to go to college. Like I didn't get my associates until I was like maybe 2 or 3 years after I graduated high school. I just took a couple years off to try and find myself, but
And this is someone because we were both in the special children, not in like the extra
not
time
in-
classes,
yeah.
the advanced math and sciences, and a grade above level sort of classes. So,
Yeah, I'm far from dunce, but
Yeah.
it's just I
yeah, right.
I just I actually dislike the schooling system, but that's a whole we've been talking about this for the last like friggin' 15 minutes or some nonsense, but it's never too late to do anything, even go to school.
Mhm.
So just know that if you are someone who is looking for that networking opportunity, but it all depends on what you want to do and how you want to network. I'm done.
Gotcha. So maybe we could wrap up with this and then save these last three for. Actually, you know what? We'll see. We'll see how we're feeling. So renting is now officially more cheaper than owning a home, which we've been kind of alluding at in previous podcasts. And then I saw another tweet that kind of bounces off of this, so we'll use this as a springboard as well. That owning your primary residence is not that great of an investment, like we've been told. Growing up, everyone says get in real estate, get in real estate. Most millionaires are made in real estate, but if you just do the math, a 30-year mortgage, you're not really going to see equity in it until year 20. You can refinance and do all these, fancy terms that people don't care to know the name of, but it's not a really that great of an investment vehicle as we've been told. It's probably another boomerism where it's like, oh yeah, this was rolling around on Twitter. Someone's grandfather was saying when he was buying a house, he was buying a house for $30,000, but he bought a house for $22,000 instead because the $30,000 one was too expensive. And everyone was like, I would kill to have a house that expensive, or at that cheap. So I think, and I agree, everyone, if you already have money, it's great to like put it in real estate, buy a couple of properties and rent them out or something, but it's not really that great of a wealth builder in general. And there's a lot of things you have to deal with as the owner. Even Grant Cardone, he's a real estate, probably close to a billionaire. He doesn't own his home. He just rents it. So if he has to get up and move, he can go. He doesn't have to worry about all the other stuff. Because even when you own your home, you still pay property taxes. You're still leasing it in a sense. So why go through all that hassle when you can just rent and not have to worry about anything else?
Facts. That's all I got to say.
All right, facts. And then
Shout out Grant Cardone, I guess, though.
yeah, shout out Grant Cardone. And then what are your top 3 cartoons? And pick one from the big 3. So one from Disney, one from Nick, and one from Cartoon Network.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay. Segueing from the information stuff. Okay. Top three. That's hard, bro. I was a Cartoon Network kid.
Yeah, Cartoon Network is supreme.
Yeah, Supreme. I liked Ben 10 a lot. I like Ben 10 a lot.
Ben 10 as a number one is interesting.
It's interesting, right? But like, I can name so many from Cartoon Network, but I like Ben 10 a lot. I don't know why. It was just weird. Like the fact, I think it was just the 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 myriad of aliens you could access,
Yeah.
and just what they did. Like for example, like my favorite Ben 10 alien would have to be either Upchuck or Cannonbolt,
Mm-hmm.
because like they were just, it was so funny because like they couldn't really like move, but like when it was time for them to shake, like they were really fucking shit up.
Yeah.
Um, Nick, SpongeBob.
Yeah, that's easy. Like Nick, all right, yeah, top two because Nick just is SpongeBob. We know that.
SpongeBob is king. What else was on Nick? Cartoon that was on Nick that was fire. I can't even remember because SpongeBob is just occupying my mind rent free.
Yeah.
I'll come back to it, but Disney probably either Jackie Chan Adventures or American Dragon Jake Long.
Okay. Yeah. I
I think Jackie Chan Adventures was kind of like, I mean, they're both kind of spread out between WB and Disney Channel.
Mm-hmm.
But those are good.
Nick, we had Amanda's Show, all that. Hey Arnold, Fairly Odd Parents, Carly, Rugrats.
Yeah, okay. I thought you cartoons.
Cat Dog is a Wild Thornberries.
Wild Thornberries is kind of funny.
Doug, Rocket Power.
Yeah, I think the Nickelodeon cartoons are kind of made from what.
Like the older ones, like Cat Dog, like the '90s ones are pretty fire.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll rock with that for now. Let's say Ben 10, SpongeBob, American Dragon, Jake Long. Kind of interesting top three, but you put me in a predicament, and I hadn't really thought about it much.
Yeah, I should have done research because like there's so many choices to choose from. Yeah. For me, damn, we can't do live action shows. Live action, I would have chosen Wizards of Waverly Place for Disney.
That one's goated.
But for Disney, I'll probably say Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. Yeah, y'all youngest don't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
For Nick, yeah, same thing, SpongeBob. And then for Cartoon Network, there's so many goats on Cartoon Network.
Courage is an honorable mention.
Invader Zim,
honorable mention.
My Life as a Teenage Robot. What Happened to Robot Jones?
My gym partner's a teenage monkey.
Yeah, my gym partner's a monkey.
Yeah, gym partner's
there's Camp Lazlo.
Camp Lazlo was goated, bro.
Yo, there's too many options. But I'll put like a safe bet. I'll just say Samurai Jack because Samurai Jack is goated. Is very nostalgic. I remember watching.
It's very anime centric, so I can see why you like that one too.
Yeah. But yeah, no. There's for anyone who's younger than like 18 watching this, like you don't understand. Like in terms of video games and cartoons, like we truly grew up in the best time for both.
Yeah, man. Like everything was simple. Like you could still YY in Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah, still know about that, bro.
Yeah. And then we'll finish up these two. So I guess this is more of a PSA, but taking breaks from always listening to something. So whether it be audiobooks, music, or otherwise, I think it's a very modern problem. And Dr. K talks about this a lot. Shout out Healthy Gamer GG. He mentions that a lot of people aren't comfortable with themselves because they always have something, playing in the background, playing in their ear. And so they feel lost because you're listening to so much content where you'll eventually run into two content creators that have opposing views and then you don't know where to go from there. And so you're not really practicing your intuition, for previous history, anyone born before 2000s, like you're with your thoughts most of the time, but you're able to navigate them and they're not so scary because you know yourself. But externalizing your attention takes it away from your inner world, and then you kind of are confused and don't know those things. So I guess just mentioning taking a fast, taking a break from things like let's say your commute to work, you're on a bus, okay, you're kind of bored, you're just going to be watching stuff, maybe you can just listen to music then. But if you're in the shower, just be with your thoughts. Take breaks from externalizing your attention and draw back into yourself. And not be so focused on super optimization where, every second, every waking second that's not sleep, you're listening to something, because you can get information overload. You're still, a human. You still need breaks. You still need rest to digest and do all that stuff.
Facts.
And then the last thing is on early YouTube. What were you watching?
Early YouTube. That's funny. What was on early YouTube? I was watching. Remember Smosh?
Smosh. How to Be a Ninja.
How to Be a Ninja was funny.
Swoozy.
Something.
Yeah, Swoozy. Weird Al. That's when Weird Al was like kind of popular in all his parody remakes. And then just whatever random weird try not to laugh videos.
Yeah, those.
But that's when my sense of humor was like so childish, where like, yeah,
prank videos, all that stuff.
Yeah,
it was wholesome back then. Now it's just mad like money.
Everything is just optimization, whether it be, dating advice or getting in the gym or getting your money up.
It's just cookie cutter. What has worked before, let's try and do it again. You know, like all the things you mentioned, and then everything is SEO based.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Super clickbaity titles.
Yeah, bro, and all the prank videos are staged now.
Yeah,
like come on now. I think it got to a point though. I'm glad I got into music when I was young, because I was on early YouTube, and then I did my best to find every resource on how to learn how to mix and master. So I think that was where I spent a lot of my time outside of just vegging out on YouTube.
If you were like a early internet kid, I feel like you probably did better if you went to school, because you knew how to research more. Like, knowing how to Google and asking the right questions, sort of thing, because you're just used to being on search engine to like some degree.
Dark web and all that shit.
Yeah, Silk Road. If you were on Silk Road, you were buying Bitcoin back in 2013. You're probably up a couple mil now.
But also, if you were on the dark web that early, you also have
issues.
We probably also didn't know the value of Bitcoin back then.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it was just used as a
way to buy fake IDs or
drugs
or
and
methamphetamines online,
or watch Red Rooms and shit.
Snuff films. Yeah. So, but that's it, everyone. We wanted to keep this one a little bit lighter. We can be quote unquote serious all the time, and doom and gloom and watch out for this. But now remember, Kai actually sent me a video today from Gabor Mate, who was a psychologist, and shout out Winnie the Pooh, which is what he was referencing of, when Christopher Robin gets too old and he's worried about not being able to play anymore in the Enchanted Forest. And I guess that's what we'll leave you with, is always learn to play, no matter your age. Things can get serious and you do need to lock in, but lock in so you have more time to play. Always learn to play.
Shout outs?
Yeah, shout out family, mom, dad, cousins, grandma, grandpa. Shout out good lifelong friends, new and old. Shout out friends I've lost. Shout out friends that are going through stuff, or anyone who's going through stuff for that matter. Family stuff, emotional stuff. Having a hard time. You'll make it out on the end. Everything is a growth period, and just peace, love, and chicken grease to everyone.
Shout out us.
Yeah,
that's it. Peace.
Distancing myself from anything that seeming cynic. I evicted all my demons, I ain't seen them in a minute. Phone on D and the event they try and kick it. I ain't messing with a pessimist, I get that noise and flip it. Keeping up composure cause it's crucial. Tossing everything away unless that thing is useful. Pocket watching people, all these people getting used to it. Bumping blues and burning all my blues over my blues.